For centuries, we've approached the universe like it's a crime scene, but it's a strange one. The prime suspect, intelligence, was dismissed before the audit even began. And so we're left with these two dominant theories, and under any rigorous examination, well, neither provides a coherent account.
So, our investigation has to set new terms. We're not here for unverifiable ghost stories. And we're not here for theories of accidental cosmology either. No, we're here to conduct a forensic audit of the mechanics of reality itself. We're searching for the primary source code that governs the entire system.
And these are the two failed accounts. You've got Theory A, the mystical fog, these purely subjective narratives with absolutely no external proof. Then on the other side, you have Theory B, dead matter, this idea of a universe born from a chaotic, fundamentally purposeless accident. The truth is, both of them just collapse under logical scrutiny. A third possibility simply must be considered. And that brings us to the first serious proposition on the table, the existentialist response. Now, this is a profound attempt to construct meaning from within, right? It's for a universe that appears, at least on its face, to be utterly silent and, well, devoid of any inherent purpose.
You know, as Sartre so powerfully put it, this path starts with a terrifying recognition, the burden of absolute, radical freedom. Think about it. In a world without a pre-written script, without any defined purpose, every single choice we make is what defines us. The weight of that responsibility, it's immense.
The core axiom here is this: existence precedes essence. We're thrown into the world first, basically as blank slates. We simply are. And it's only through our choices later on, our actions and our commitments, that we actually forge an identity, an essence for ourselves. In this view, we are our own creators. Kierkegaard really outlines the psychological path. First, you have to confront the sheer absurdity of it all. This idea of a finite, conscious life in a seemingly infinite, indifferent universe. This confrontation, it produces a deep existential anxiety. And at this breaking point, where objective reason just can't go any further, the only way forward is a passionate, subjective commitment, a leap of faith. A crucial distinction must be made here. This leap is being presented as a solution, but it now warrants a full forensic cross-examination, because its internal logic, you see, it presents a significant, perhaps even a fatal, vulnerability. And this really is the central question that proposition has to answer. If the intellect is intentionally suspended, if objective evidence is deemed either insufficient or just plain irrelevant, on what grounds is the commitment made? I mean, what prevents this leap from being an entirely arbitrary choice? The burden of proof now shifts squarely back to its proponents. The logical problems are severe. The leap, by its own definition, advocates for belief without sufficient evidence. It provides no objective criteria for discernment between competing faiths or ideologies. So it can be framed as an intellectual abdication, a retreat into the subjective, purely to escape the dread of a meaningless cosmos. Fundamentally, it functions as a form of psychological escapism.
But what if that initial premise of a meaningless universe is flawed? What if the existentialists' profound concern for human freedom and the rationalists' absolute demand for evidence, what if they aren't mutually exclusive? Perhaps they can actually be reconciled within a more coherent framework.
And here we find the fundamental axiomatic shift proposed by the Quran. It literally inverts the existentialist formula. It's not that existence precedes essence. Rather, purpose, or hikmah, a precisely engineered wisdom, that precedes existence. The entire system is built upon a foundation of inherent intelligent design from the start. You see, this reframes the human experience of freedom entirely. It is not a condemnation to some lonely void. Instead, it's an Amanah, a sacred and weighty trust. Our freedom is the primary tool we're given to fulfill a profound responsibility within this system, not some burden we have to escape from.
The source text presents this not as some blind assertion, but as discoverable evidence. The act of intellectual reflection, tafakkur, upon the cosmos leads the observer directly to recognize its non-arbitrary, purposeful nature. The universe itself is a signal, you see, a broadcast of coherent information, and the innate human intellect, the fitra, well, that's the receiver, pre-tuned to resonate with the logic and the purpose within that signal.
So, the logical corollary of this framework is a complete inversion of the leap of faith. Faith ceases to be a departure from reason. It actually becomes its necessary
and most profound logical destination. It's a realization, not a jump.
Let's use an analogy. The observable laws of physics, they're the system's load-bearing walls. We can study their mechanics, how they function. But revelation, that's the architect's blueprint. It explains the teleology, the ultimate purpose, why the structure was built in the first place. One explains the mechanics, the other, the intent. You absolutely need both for a complete understanding of the structure.
So the final distinction is sharp. The leap of faith is a passionate, subjective choice made in spite of an apparently absurd universe. The reasoned conviction, in contrast, is the quiet, logical conclusion you arrive at from the overwhelming evidence of a purposeful and coherent one. It's not a frantic leap. It is the final, inescapable deduction of a mind that has simply followed the evidence.
This reframes our central inquiry entirely. If the evidence points toward a system defined by intelligence and purpose, then the ultimate question is not whether to leap into the dark, it's whether we have the courage to follow the evidence to its final logical conclusion. So, is faith the suspension of reason, or is it in fact its ultimate destination?